Alright, first step to doing anything on a vehicle of mine is always wash the vehicle before we do it. So we're going to wash the trucks, and then we're going to get to the oil changes. First step complete. Make sure you clean out the very under first. That's kind of like another main problem is people wash the outside of their vehicle but never underneath. And when you're crawling around underneath, pain in the butt when you get dirt in the eye. So make sure you wash that as best as possible. The oil filter is 57,620, and you need 12 quarts of oil, and I always go with the Shell T6 5W40. That's just what I always use. When you get on the Cummins forums pages, that's what everyone recommends for the most part, is that 5W40 through the T6. And then I went with the Wix filter just because it's a little bit more expensive. It's like $15 instead of a $5 micro whatever one. That's what oil we're going to be using, and it is 12 quarts again, so that's 3 gallons. There are 4 quarts in a gallon, by the way, just for your faces. Make sure wherever you park that you always have your emergency brake on when you go to crawl under your vehicle, so it doesn't roll on you. Alright, so we just got done running cows. And so I started my truck. You're going to want to let it run for probably 5 minutes just to get the oil warm, lukewarm at least. That way it drains a lot faster. So what we have here, while that was running, I got everything organized. Recommend one of these. You just put it on the bottom of your oil filter and it'll actually fit right into it. You have to get one specifically for your oil filter. So you just put a extension on a ratchet and undo that. Alright, I always keep rags nearby. We got all the extensions for that oil filter. We're just gonna stick right there. So we're gonna grab 3/8 ratchet for the oil pan. Alright, so here's the front right tire, front left tire. Here's your oil pan right here. Right here's your transmission pan. So all we gotta do is undo that right there. I bought this at O'Reilly for I think like 10 or 15 bucks maybe. You can use a 5-gallon, but I like this because you can like store it in it. So we're just gonna undo this right here. Always have a rag, and I got gloves because it's gonna go everywhere. And I pulled it into the garage, that way the wind's gonna push the oil around while it's raining, so that's why I haven't pulled in here. So always pull towards you, not away from you. And you're just gonna bust it loose. It should only be on there hand tight. And we're just gonna unscrew it. Make sure your pan's right underneath. I like to keep upward pressure on it as I'm doing it. About there. Oil's gonna go pretty well everywhere. Just gonna make sure that's right there. Here's your little bolt. We're just gonna set this to the side. I'm gonna set it on the floor, make sure the threads are sticking up so you don't get any dirt in it. And we're just gonna wait for this to drain now. See how fast it drains now that the oil is lukewarm. And we're gonna clear up. There's a few oil spots from it splashing. We're just gonna wipe that right up. If you spill oil, kitty litter's an awesome cleaner upper for oil or any type of fluid. It absorbs it, and then can just dispose of it in the proper way. But see, it's already pretty well done. Just gonna slide back out now. So we're at the front right tire of the truck. Right in there is your oil filter, right of the struts. You can either pop this out, and the first time I changed my oil, I did it by hand, just by reaching in there. It's a pain in the butt. That's why I bought that tool. Those things are only like $5 or $6. And we're just gonna, while this is slowly finishing draining, I let it sit for about 10 minutes just to fully drain. If it's not all drained, it's perfectly fine. Like there's gonna be some leftover in there anyways. I just like to let it sit, and then if it's sitting there dripping slowly, then I'll just throw it back on. Save time. Time's money. Right tire, we're back to right here. Have this with a couple extensions on. There's your oil filter. It's gonna be all the way up there. Hello?
Would you like some pizza?
I already told you no, but thanks.
Okay.
So it's all the way up there. It's a bit of the pain in the butt to get up there, but this is right where we're at, front right. You got your headlight up there. I think you know where I am. Oil's right there. And we're just gonna put this up here, and it should only be on hand tight as well. But we're just gonna stick that on the bottom with this tool, and we're gonna open it and just attempt not to spill it, because it's gonna be full. You're just gonna take it off very slowly, and I like to raise it down with my right hand and then grab it with my left and then ease it out. You see me? Alrighty, so we got it busted loose. To put it back on, it's kind of a pain in the butt sometimes. But I'm actually just going to take off the ratchet and then just do it by hand. Not very many threads. Okay, so now it's off right now. We're just going to slowly drop it. It's dripping a bit of oil, so I'm going to hand take this hand towel and set it right there. Voila. Just be very careful not to tip it over. And we're just going to throw it straight into the oil pan. Or the little, whatever you have draining your oil into. Because you need that no mas. We're just going to hand wipe up a little oil splashes. Wipe up our hands. Wipe up the excess oil that has ran down. See, this is why you want to do it where there's not a lot of wind, because when there's wind, this stuff will go everywhere. And make sure you wear safety glasses. I don't have any, but I also washed mine off earlier. If you do get oil in your eyes, I'd wash it out immediately. You can call poison control, or it might say on your actual oil what to do. I'll check that in a sec once we're done cleaning. Alright, so on the bottom of this one, it will actually say right there, if you do consume it in any way, call that number, call a poison control center, and so on. If it was just me, by the way, I'd just wipe it out, because I've had it plenty of times, and just rinse your eyes really good, and oil in your mouth, you just spit it out. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but if you do have a lot and you don't know what to do, and I guess you do start vomiting, do call. All right, so meanwhile, this got stuck onto the bottom of that, so I just took my breaker bar and just hit it there, and it popped right off. It hit it there, hit it there, hit it there, hit it there, if it did get stuck on there. Because I do know they don't fit perfectly. But meanwhile, while this is kind of dripping, we are going to now go over and grab the old oil filter, rub some oil around the little O-ring, and then attempt getting it back into there. Alright, so we're gonna grab a little oil, just dab our fingers in it. We're just gonna go around that oil pan, or the seal. Just give it a nice coat. If you don't do this, it is going to get locked on there and you are gonna have a very hard time trying to get it off. But a little will go a long way in this situation. So just make sure that that ring's nice and coated. Now we're gonna put it back up there. All right, so this bit's gonna be a bit tricky. It's gonna take some time, and it is a pain in the butt. But so we got this. We got a new oil filter, and we're just gonna raise it all the way up there. It's pretty darn high up there. You can have someone guide you, but in this case, I'm just gonna put it up there and try and spin it on. I'm actually gonna just try doing it without this. We're just gonna spin it righty tighty. Okay, I got it on there. That was actually a lot easier. The first time I tried doing it by hand, out in the wheel well, that took me forever. And it was a pain in the butt, and I never got it tight enough, and it leaked oil. And then I came across these little tools, and it has saved my life. So now whenever I do oil change, I use these. So I got this one for mine and one for Alyssa's Ford. And you're just gonna go hands tight with this. Feeling a little pressure. Okay. Snug it as above. And if it does start leaking, you'll see where it's dripping from. It's gonna run down these crossbar for the engine mount. I'll show you where it's gonna start dripping from. If your oil filter if it leaks, if it's not on tight enough, it's gonna be dripping right off of this pan or cross beam right here. Off of your frame, actually. It's just right up there. It's a bit hard to see in this light. And we're just gonna keep wiping it clean. But do not over tighten, or else it will be a biatch to get off. Alright, so it has been 20 minutes. And it's just slowly dripping now. You can probably just hear it go drip, dribble, dribble. Wipe off the nut, or the plug, drain plug. We're just gonna come so it doesn't drip on us. We're just gonna shove it in there. And hand tighten. I'll wipe off my fingers now. Also wipe off around there. Keep that area nice and clean. And we're gonna grab our 3/8 and we are just gonna hand tighten it. Alright, hand tighten. Alrighty, so we are done with that. We cleaned up everything underneath. And we're just gotta put oil in it now. Hope you guys know where the oil cap is. It literally says your oil cap right there. Okay, before we do anything else, it's always good to kind of clean around the area you're gonna be pouring stuff into. So you can just get some light cleaner and spray on it and just take off all the dirt. That way you're not knocking anything into your oil as you go in to fill it up. So before we do anything else, we clean. It's just something to always think about, because if there's going to be grime up here, there's a good possibility that you'll knock that grime into it. Right, now that this has kind of just been cleaned off a little, just wiped it down with a rag and some cleaner. Very light cleaner. Now you're good to put your oil in. And if this looks a little different, it's because I have deleted the EGR and DPF. So if you have a whole bunch of stuff right here, it's just means your vehicle's basically stock. So you're ready to go on to the next step and putting on some oil. In some oil. And it says it takes 12 quarts. So we're just gonna set this to the side, clean your funnel, make sure it's a very clean funnel, stick that right there, and start pouring all our oil into it. All right, now that you have your oil filled in, your oil filled up, we're gonna go over here and we're gonna start the truck, and we're just gonna let it run for a couple minutes just to cycle it, fill up your oil filter, and then we're gonna shut it off. We're gonna check the oil level. I'm just gonna turn it on, let it sit for a second. Then we're just gonna start it and let it run for a minute. Alrighty, it's ran for a couple of minutes, and now we're gonna check the oil level. So when doing this, you're gonna pull it out. Always have a rag. Pull it out, and we're just gonna wipe it completely clean. It's always a good thing to clean off the entire thing, the entire dipstick, and check it multiple times. So that one, we were right in the very middle. We're gonna dip it again. Vehicle has to be off when checking oil. I'm gonna check it one more time just to clarify. If you look at it right here, you can see that it's right in the safe zone. So that means we're good. If you tipped over the funnel and leaked too much out or something and it's underneath the safe, you're not gonna really wanna start your vehicle. You're gonna wanna take another vehicle and go get more oil. I would not recommend running a vehicle without oil, especially when it's very low. It's not good on your engine at all. All right, so oil level's good. Got the filters changed and filled up, and basically good to go now. If you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the comments below. I'm always checking YouTube. I want to be more busy with uploading vehicles or videos of my vehicles and just how-tos. So if you guys have any sort of question, you can drop it down and I will answer it best to my knowledge. I know quite a bit about mechanics, don't know everything though. But if you ever need any help and have a question or are confused about something or a specific order of something, feel free to let me know and I will see if I can help out. But peace. Have an awesome time. Keep your trucks looking sexy. Peace. So we're done. And before we go, we're gonna park the vehicle over some sort of dirt or an area that if a couple drops of oil drips, it's not too terrible. but you're just gonna park it somewhere, maybe put a piece of cardboard under your vehicle, just to make sure if it does leak, it drips onto something and you can see it. So I'll come check in a couple of hours and just see if there's any drippage.